Hi, my name is Cécile Baumann and I'm your host and the founder of the company Ganz in Bewegung. I'm a movement and Alexander technique specialist. My business serves holistic thinking people who want to improve their mind-body connection. Today, we are thrilled to have Cristina Jaeger, a finance mentor and expert in Swiss private banking and the founder of herFinancialFreedom, joining us. We are so excited to have her here. But before I bring her up, I want to share what I mean by mind-body connection. The Ganz in Bewegung system we developed includes 7 defining components of being human. For non-German speakers, the meaning of Ganz in Bewegung is the whole of you in motion, which includes your movement, your body, your surrounding, your experience, your emotion, and your thinking. And it's all interconnected with your breathing, and all is interconnected with each other, of course. I'm excited to introduce you to Cristina Jaeger. Cristina is a finance expert with over 14 years of experience in international wealth management, both in Europe and Asia. She advised high net worth clients at prestigious banks such as UBS, where she developed tailored investment strategies and successfully grew multi-million portfolios. But her true passion lies in helping women confidently take control of their finances. With her financial freedom, she has committed herself to a clear mission to strengthen women's financial literacy, empower them through targeted investments, and ultimately close the gender wealth gap. Today, she supports women in making financial decisions with clarity and confidence, using practical tips, easy to understand tools, and an inspiring community. Her goal is for every woman to gain the knowledge and confidence needed to become financially free and live on her own terms. Let's welcome Cristina.
Hi,
Hi,
Cecile.
Cristina. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Christina, your journey from managing wealth for billionaires to focusing on women's financial empowerment is fascinating. What prompted this shift, and how do you believe your background enriches your current mission?
Yeah, Cecile, picture this. You're starting as a young woman, yeah, not having so much clue from the wide, big, successful world in Zurich, in Paradeplatz, to work for the biggest Swiss wealth manager. And only now, years later, I realized this what happened, right? But like, imagine you sitting there in whole Zurich Paradeplatz, who doesn't know it, but it's like the epicenter of finance, maybe in Europe, maybe in the world, or definitely one of the centers in the world. And these super wealthy people go in there, have their money in Switzerland, their wealth, and over generations and generations, they would approach us as wealth managers. How can they maintain that wealth over a long time, right? So I had the privilege of looking into these discussion situations. And after working a few years with millionaires in Europe, always based in Zurich, UBS back then asked me, "Hey, Cristina, now you've managed these portfolios and you advise those clients in Europe. How about now you don't work for millionaires anymore, but for billionaires, but in Hong Kong?" So what would you have done? Would you have said yes or no?
Of course, yes. You always thrive to more, yes? Or you should. Don't
Yeah,
let fear
curiosity.
be a part.
Exactly, growth mindset, right? Like I can just learn about different cultures. So I had already done internships in Singapore, so I was very curious to live in Hong Kong. And yeah, then they sent me to the International Finance Center, like this big skyscraper. I was living, working, also living, but working in the 50th floor, directly looking Victoria Harbor. You had like marble floors. I mean, the tables where we welcomed these billionaire clients, they were probably more expensive than my salary then. So to have this wealth creation and be so close of rather new wealth, yeah, coming from China, and then to see, okay, we have generational wealth management in Europe. How do these clients handle their money, grow their money, give it to the next generation, have these discussions early, like generational wealth management. And then, okay, we have new wealth in Asia. And like to have these insight and dealing with these so many zeros. And then on the other hand, becoming 30 or like getting into my 30s and having my expat girlfriends around me and saying, Cristina, now we have some money. What do we actually do with it? Like they didn't do anything with their money. We come to that story maybe later, but including me, I started way too late to actually have a wealth management strategy for myself. Because I also thought, oh, retirement is far away. You don't just really like have it on top of your mind as a priority. You're young, everything works well, you grow your career. You don't think about it. And I hosted a lot of like brunches and aperos, how we say in Switzerland, right? And I said, ladies, I can give you some insights here, but this is going to be hard to explain over a glass of Prosecco. So we need to come up with a structured approach of, having these discussions. And that's what we then started to do. And I remember exactly the moment where we had the first group. It was literally just a group of friends getting together, having like 4 nights I think Tuesday was in the evening. I structured the content and I was leaning back at that moment and I was seeing the discussion and the growth they had going on amongst each other, talking about finances, daring to ask the questions they never asked before, growing confident because they never asked and thought about money. And there they dared to in that community. And leaning back and thinking, wow, we have something going on here. And they were so happy that they then told my other friends and we did another group. So yeah, I feel like I just wanted to fuse the two passions that I have, like finance and wealth management that I knew just by studying, and then my passion of bringing women together, which I did privately. And that's how herFinancialFreedom actually started.
What a wonderful story. This is so great. And yes, I'm one of them who never cared about money. Never. It was really disappearing in my mindset. It was not there at all. If there was enough, that's fine. That's great. I don't have to worry about money. Why should I? But now, as you said, we grow older and we think, hey, what's going to happen and what are we doing with our money and how to deal with money at the first place and not locking it out of the door, but letting the money work for us or at least be aware of that money is something about having to do with your worth. But we are coming to this later. So let's go to you advocate for money dates as a tool for financial engagement. Can you describe a typical money date experience and how it helps women develop healthier relationship with their finances and why healthier? So for me, yes, I don't have a healthy relationship. I'm coming to this. I'm on my way. Let's put it this way to this, and it's getting better. But for, I think, 1 year ago, my journey started. So I'm not really so far.
Well, better late than never, right? There's no hanging on the past and you're on your way now, which is amazing to see. You can be so proud of taking these steps and raising that awareness and then doing something about it. That's incredible. So be also proud of yourself here, and then opening this forum also for that topic. It's incredible because that's exactly what I see happening, that once women, they step into this world, they involve themselves with this Gedankengut, we say in German, with this, like, they brainwash themselves with the content about finances, starting talking about it. What they do is they drag their nieces, their mothers, their sisters, their friends, their girlfriends, their colleagues into the topic as well. Women always want their community to flourish when they learn something. It's so amazing. Yeah? And because you said more healthy relationship, I feel like I don't want to give. Women feel a lot of shame around the money topic. And I want to go exactly in the other direction. We are living in a system that is changing, but it was designed in a certain way. And we are breaking now gender stereotypes. So it's not our fault that we kind of still live with the thought patterns and the behavioral patterns of what happened actually and was the reality 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's very new. that we have our own money, can open bank accounts, we should be involved in the financial decisions. We are very heavily involved in short-term financial decisions, by the way, when it's about purchasing decisions, etc. But women are opting out tendency of the long-term impact of these financial decisions. But we're changing it, which is good. So definitely more healthy. I would maybe replace healthy in the sense of they are involved and they are part of the discussion. Just taking on responsibility and ownership about your personal financial future. That's what it's all about. And money dates. Some of my clients, they have money dates with themselves once a month. They put a calendar appointment, and it just can be 15 minutes, half an hour, right? Reviewing your personal finances, reviewing if you're on track on your goals. Do I need to shift something in my portfolio or not? Do I have more liquidity than I thought? Then I have such cute messages of like women that were part of the community years ago, and they sent me like selfies. Hey, we were just catching up on dinner, but of course we also talked about finances. Yeah. So for me, it's not opening this like big, heavy topic. It's more like, how can we make this financial discussion part of an easy, nice daily routine? Maybe at the next coffee date that you have or lunch date, you just ask one question in the finance direction. You don't need to meet 1 hour just to talk about finance, because that seems very heavy. How can we break it down, right, in smaller pieces? Or that might be having the proposition, okay, this quarter, I will listen to one podcast about finance or read one book about finance, or I follow some finfluencers like me on Instagram. It's just, how can we include it easy and that it feels light into our daily routine? And then it's completely up to you how you define a money date. I have clients, they say Sundays now they have with a hubby a money date, which is really, really cool. But it should feel light and it should be part of how you live your life.
Yeah, I think it's also, in the earlier days, or also my parents told me, you never talk about money. Money is really dirty, and rich people are not good people. And, you have to somehow also break this down on, is it really true? You get older and you start thinking for yourself, and you really start to meet other people and think, oh, but they are really nice people. I like them very much. Oh, they are rich. Oh, good to know. They are rich people who are nice and are doing so much good in the world. So I think it's really an old thinking pattern going on. And this, I meant you talk about this as an unhealthy pattern. So
Exactly.
that's why I
No, it
put
is.
it in. So
No, and you're absolutely right. Like we talk about these limiting beliefs. Yeah.
yes,
It's
yes,
a lot of cultural also. Like, how did we grow
yeah.
up? If you reflect back and you did that work, that's amazing, Cécile. Like, thanks for mentioning it also, because that's exactly what you do, probably with other pillars of health and well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how did you grow up about money? What did your parents say to each other about money? What did your parents tell you about money? For
Mm-hmm.
example, if someone would say to the child, we can't afford this. Yeah, that can create a very scarce mindset. I had a client, she reflected later a lot because she had actually wealth. She didn't do anything with it because the mom raised her super frugal. She was always afraid that it's not enough. And investing anyway was hell, like forbidden. You will lose your money. So
Mm-hmm.
she didn't grow that wealth or maintained it. Very frugal. Actually, we created an investment plan because she was so frugal, and it was rather the opposite problem that she had to enjoy her money. She traveled for 1 year without having an income, and she retires with 47. Crazy, no?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a shift.
There was an amazing success. But it's a lot about this like mindset. How did you grow up with belief, which belief system? Like, for example, I always am an advocate for saying money is actually a tool that we have to design the life that we want to live. It's actually incredible. And I try to make it really like emotional and with passion and fun. Like my clients sometimes say, I didn't know that finances, can be fun. Like they feel weird saying it. But like, for example, even for budgeting, we have a system in place that you spend in accordance with your values and your priorities. Do you know Marie Kondo? She
Yes, I read the books, and I also gave them to my mother. And we
Yeah.
now roll all our clothes, even the children started doing this. And my husband, and he's very, he has his system and he's
Mhm.
happy with the system, but even he started to roll.
Nice.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic because you relate a lot because you brings emotions in, right? She's like,
Yeah.
what does make you feel happy? And that's exactly the same what we do with the finances. Because
Mhm.
I don't think, there are these reels like, don't buy the latte and you will be a millionaire with 60, whatever. Spend your money and enjoy it, but spend it in a way it contributes to your goals. What does it mean? You need to be aware of the goals. We need to put numbers behind the goals. And then when you contribute to these goals, it will not feel restrictive. It will feel expansive because you're contributing, you're making conscious decisions to go in that direction. And then you wouldn't say, oh, I can't afford it. You would say, that's not a priority I have currently.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's a big mental shift.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, many women struggle with financial anxiety. How do money dates serve as a strategy to reduce this stress and encourage proactive engagement with finances?
A money date might already be maybe too far-fetched, especially when we talk about anxiety or anxiety. Let's phrase it a bit more neutral. Maybe finance is like this big black box, and I don't know how to get into it. I would say, what is the smallest steps that we can take to involve ourselves in the discussion? Like I said, how can we make it part of our daily life? Okay, we are meeting someone. We can ask one generic question about finance, because I always hear this as an excuse. Oh, but we cannot talk about finances. It's too intimate. It's too private. Okay, I don't have to investigate. Hey, Cécile, how much are you making each month? Or what is your total wealth? But I can ask questions like, Cécile, did you ever invest in a Pillar 3 fund in Switzerland? Or how do you invest your pension? Or what was the last trade you did? Or which broker are you actually using? Hey, Cécile, do you have a financial advisor? Like very generic questions that are not very personal, but that will open up this topic. So hopefully then people don't shy away, or you will feel how they respond, right, based on their answer. So get involved in the conversation, because what I feel, what's happening with men is like they start trading, maybe placing something, buying an exchange traded fund, a fund, or investing in a stock. They do it kind of like for themselves when they're young with little money. Even if they lose it, they learn something about it. They already know then how to open a brokerage account, how to talk to the banker. They place the trade. They made all these decisions, right? Even if they lose it, they made a lot of experiences at the beginning of their adult life with little money. So they still have a lot of time to recover and learn more. And women wait and wait and wait and wait because they want to be an expert in it. They want to like study it, or think they just need to know more about it in order to get started. So what is the smallest increment that we can do in order to get started? Talk about it, read about it, listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Like, I feel like your learning type and what brings you joy. It's a cool podcast, or it's an event about finance where you can connect also to other women, or it's an online community like we have on WhatsApp where you can just be a silent listener. Yeah. Finfluencers, like I said, now everything is on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. We give like small learning nuggets. You can just simply like consume it. Books, they're really cool books now. We have like a whole recommendations list. Actually, if you want, we can link it with
Oh,
all
that
these
would be great.
media sources, right? Because for me, it's like, how can we make women part of the conversation? That's why we create a community to give that safe space that you can also maybe ask a question where you feel usually too dumb about it. Yeah, you don't dare, which is crazy because it's smart as women. Really, they are so intelligent. They are running their careers, their lives, their families, their businesses. But then when it comes to the finances, they still feel this like shame about the topic. So smallest increment, be part of the discussion. It doesn't need to be a money date. Obviously, that would be so cool. But there are also lots of steps that you can take before to be part of the discussion. And then at the end of the whole list should be obviously taking action. This should be like the step to reach, to practice. Like, I get so many questions. Hey, should I invest in this? There's a new trend. Should I invest in crypto? The general answer is always no, build a stable core first. We need to find like the suitable strategy for you. But rather do something with little money, have some learnings on the way, and involve yourself in the discussion, even if you lose that money, because it won't hurt you so much. But the learnings will be quite valuable, right?
Yeah, yeah, I feel the same. I really never talked about money. This was never an aspect in our meetings when I meet friends or colleagues. This was never mentioned. You don't ask about money. So
So how
now
did
I
you change?
started, and it's interesting. It's so interesting. A friend of mine told me, "Oh, and if you go to this bank, then I can be somehow I get benefits if you let me send you the link." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yes,
good that we talked about because I didn't know that she was on the same
that's cool.
in the same bank." So that's really cool, and
Yeah.
not to hide away because you think you can't talk about it. It's a topic like everything else, and that's why I like the holistic approach, as you said. Instead of fearing about money, it's about being curious about money and being interested in the topic and just listen, and then you get the security you need. I think it's a very clever way how to first get in contact with money and all the topics that are at the beginning overwhelming, of course, but you get
I
used.
like I like how you phrased it. It's like any other topic. I love curiosity, that the word you use, being curious, growth minded, sharing then also that knowledge in the community. So I wonder for you, like, what changed? So you said, hey, now I want to be involved.
uh, I think it has to do with that I realized that when I was young, I didn't save a lot of money. It was just a short portion of money I had, and I used it for some events like going to New York with a friend. I didn't want to use the family money, let's put it this way. So I wanted to use my money, and then it get even, you know. And at the end, I have nothing left from my money I earned when I was young, and it didn't grow for me or did anything, and I was shocked. I was like, yeah, what's going on here? I know my partner, my husband, always traded his life long, and his parents traded. My parents didn't. They had immobilie,
Real estate.
real estate. Yeah, they had some real estate from the father of my mother, and so they never would trade. Not never in their life. It's not safe. Real
Mm-hmm.
estate, that's a house. You
Yeah.
have something you can touch.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, no, no, I will never do this. But now I'm 47, and I think I should do something, with the money I have, and not just ignore it. And then you start reading. And I think that was the decision that I always felt bad to spend money.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I'm not working as much as my husband, so I couldn't have, I
Mm.
can't go to this retreat or that thing because, I would need also his money. And he always says, it's our money. It's our money. So
Yeah.
it's not the problem that he tells me you can't, and so, but it's me like, yeah, I was taking care for the kids and growing my business and working part time, and it was just I didn't earn so much, and that's
I,
hard.
I have this like strong urge to intervene here and say, you said I didn't earn so much. You didn't earn so much for paid labor,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Good that you put this also in the right direction because this is the mindset. It's really about family work is nothing worth, and it's actually the wrong way to look at. I mean, yeah.
Totally.
So from your experience, what key insights do women gain from regular money dates? Can you share any transformative stories from clients who have embraced this practice?
Several. The question is which to pick. I think the last recent one, because I was just a few weeks in Hong Kong where I lived for 5 years. And because everything, like my business started there. So it was the first group of friends. I mean, back then they didn't pay me for it, right? And they are so, they got a level deeper, I would say, through working through that content and their pension situation, their money situation together. So they still send me updates and then they say, hey, Cristina, look, this week we met for dinner or lunch. Like, it's not the purpose just to talk about money, but they also talk about money. And then, for example, one friend of mine, she got a really big, an ex-client, she got a really big severance package from her work. She was the head of marketing for a bank actually in Hong Kong for Asia. And after many years with them, so now she has this big amount of money. And because 2 years ago she participated in the course, she's like, now, okay, I know what to do. I need to ask these and these questions. I will have a quote from a few wealth managers in the region, but I will also look into options like robo-advisors. And then I helped her a bit to compare. And obviously, this is what she discussed then in the money date, which was parts of the money of the date with the girls. Hey, ladies, look, I received this and the suggestions from these wealth managers. Okay, I need to pay 3 to 5% upfront fee to be part of it. Then I need to pay 2.5% per year management fee. Plus, I need to pay the fee within the portfolio for the funds. So they had these discussions and then they were sending me questions. Hey, is my assumption correct? That amazing discussion going on, very detailed, very how do you say, efficient, yeah? Because they knew which questions to ask. Or they sent me a picture from their money date saying, hey, we discussed this in this fund fact sheet. Every fund, investment fund, has a fact sheet with all the necessary information that they have to give to us as investors. So you wonder which fund to invest in, right? So they sent me, hey, look, we discussed this in this fund. We think that fund is better for diversification or less fees, whatever it might be. So it can be a very constructive discussion. Or, for example, pension. Many women, they don't know that if they contribute to their private pension, they have to make also a decision for their investment strategy. They just wire the money in, but then it sits there in the either cash or in the basic strategy. So they discuss about it. Okay, which strategy to use? And here I changed mine a bit, and here I have some gold, and here I have some real estate besides the equity and the bonds. So it can be very constructive once they like open the door to these topics that they know they can talk about it. Like you just mentioned, now you talk about this with your girlfriend. So
Yeah, and also with my husband. And that's quite interesting because we are not always on the same track, you know.
yeah.
I say, I want to invest like this now. You know, what do you think about? And then we discuss it, and he says, yeah, I don't want to change anything. You know, we always did it this way, and I challenge and tell, yeah, but now I
Cool.
want to try something else, and then we can compare. And you know, it's like, it's also playful. I also like the playfulness that it comes with, you know, self-empowerment about money. You know, it's our money, of course, but to get the freedom to also decide and to take the responsibility or just to go for it and try something out yourself. And you know, it needs trust, of course. That's why we have to talk to each other, and that's good. And I think so. It's also with friends, you know. You start to notice that they invest already a long time and they do it like this and that. And so interesting things come together, and you can just gain. You can't lose actually if you start talking and being responsible, you know, taking over the responsibility also in the money parts and not hiding away because you think you can't do it and you don't know how, but you can learn anything. It's just a matter of how much time you have and you want to invest.
Yeah. How you prioritize the topic. I mean, I can imagine for you, because you take care of this whole holistic wealth and well-being topics, you cannot prioritize all the time every single pillar of your life. You cannot. It's just a fact. So what can you do? Okay, for example, I work with my clients for half a year. In this half year, yes, of course, you will prioritize for 6 months this topic. But then I'm saying, for example, guess the amount of hours an average woman, a woman spends on average on social media per week. How many hours do you think?
5.
Yeah, there are official studies that say between 6 and 8. Probably it's way more, but okay, let's say 6 and 8. My clients spend between 1 to 2 hours per month on their finances. And that can entail, like you said, a money date with the partner or with yourself. I have the loveliest stories from couples in relationships. Like one husband called me after the woman participated in the course, because sometimes I open up the discussions for the husband as well, like that they can have because they're married, they look at the finances together. So we have the discussion, the three of us. He called me and said, thank you so much that Diana was participating in the sessions, because it brought our relationship more together. Like we are more goal-oriented for our future, of our children, of us in retirement. And he says it created a whole different dynamic. And yeah, it was like a relief maybe also a bit for him, because I feel like we underestimate how men are also let alone completely with these kind of decisions. Forms a lot of pressure. So yeah, very cute stories for couples.
Yeah, I feel the same. I really feel the same. Another tool you've created is the herFinancialFreedom tracker, which combines finance with feelings. Can you explain how this tracker works and why it has resonated so well with your audience?
Of course, my pleasure. The finance tracker, I love it because the clients are so happy with it. Basically, you have a lot of online applications and tracking tools in Excel file for finances. But I integrated 2 angles, and we work on that tool. One is, like we described before, how can we put emotions into our finances? How can we align our spending on one side? We get to the investing in a second. How can we align our spending on our priorities and values? Cécile, if I ask you, what is your values and priorities? Maybe you say family time, securing a future for my kids. Maybe you want to allow them an amazing education abroad, whatever it might be. For me, I have no kids. That might be a completely different question, like answer. Maybe it's my business. I want to invest in my business. I want to live international. I want, XYZ. And whoever you ask, the answers will be so unique. And how amazing is it that I can have these unique goals, because I can create a portfolio strategy that exactly aligns with all of these goals. And that brings me to the second one. After we have included these emotions, of course, we need to put numbers in. That's clear, right? It is a mathematical question. How can I reach the goal? It's a calculation. I have this now. I want to have X. How can I calculate back how much I need to invest, for example, each month, with which return? Okay, that means which investment strategy we need to build for you. Okay. So then what these millionaire and billionaire clients, remember in the beginning I told you about, what they do is they have wealth usually across the world in different asset classes, not only asset classes like you and me have, stocks, bonds, money market. No, they have maybe also other asset classes like private equity. They have also real estate. They have yachts, horses, you name it, what they have. And what we did for them in the bank was so-called multi-bank reporting. You literally had teams collecting all these statements from the banks and the assets around the world, putting it into a reporting, and then reporting it back to the family office, to the client. Okay, I'm like, how can we create a multi-bank reporting for us, for normal people? Yeah, I want my women to have a holistic wealth overview, because my clients usually have either lived in several countries, or they have changed employers, or they started a business. So the wealth structure is maybe not, I contributed here for 45 years in the same job with 100% in the same country, right? How can we create a holistic wealth overview? Because I feel like it creates a lot of tranquility, this transparency. Okay, I know which wealth buckets I have, and not only which ones I have, but also what is the use. My clients then ask, I don't know, I have lived a few years in Italy. Should I keep my wealth there? Oh, but maybe I have a real estate there and I have some pension. So we kind of like unpack the financial situation. We put it in the asset tracker and then see, okay, we keep these assets there because they serve maybe a retirement that they plan in Italy with also a different currency of the portfolio. But now they live maybe in Switzerland. So they establish another goal here with a different currency, different portfolio strategy. So I want to create a lot of clarity and then have a clear action plan. Keep, not keep, amend, not amend, invest more. Okay, how much? And this we do in the asset tracker. And usually that gives them a lot of like clarity, clear roadmap, action plan, and they feel just like, good about it.
Yeah, to keep track. I mean, this is so important and so difficult for me, especially. So the use of
Not only
color
for you.
code emotions in your tracker seems innovative. So how does this visual element enhance understanding and engagement when it comes to managing finances?
Yeah, it's a simple tool where we track in detail the expenses. Maybe you do it for a month. I have a lot of clients, they do it every month, but you can also just do it for a while. And then every single expense for this period, you would prioritize.
Ah.
1, 2, 3. So prioritize 1, meaning it contributes to my goals and to my values. So if we stay with an example that I kind of dictated on you, it's like family and kids, then it would be a priority 1 if you invest maybe in the education of your kids, let's say, or in a family vacation. But it would be maybe priority 2, something that contributes maybe to one or the other. And priority 3 would be Cécile went on a shopping spree. I don't know, I'm making something up, right? So if you have a lot of 3s, it will change the color. And you would see at the end of the month, oh, I have a lot of 3s. Or maybe you also realize I have a lot of 1 and 2s, which is amazing because you're spending according to your goals and values. But if you have a lot of 3s, it would be fairly easy to reduce that and contribute rather to the 1 and 2 or to the investing part.
That's a great tool to change habits. I like it. That's really amazing. You mentioned fostering community through practices like buddy systems for money dates. So, what role does community play in reinforcing the emotional and practical aspects of financial empowerment?
For HFF, community plays definitely the main role. Definitely. Of course, we work with our clients through their financial situation. We create a roadmap, an action plan for them. I really work one-on-one with them. That's clear. But the community part, this is where I see women daring to ask questions, connecting, growing, literally growing confident. And it is in either the group discussions we have, it is in expert workshops we have, it is in the workshops they have with me in the group, where obviously here and there, some women share a bit, so you take away also something. And they often realize, oh, the questions I have and the doubts I have, they are perfectly valid. Yeah, like you said, it's just a matter of spending time and prioritizing this topic. So what we want to do with the community is really create that safe space where you know you're welcome. If you have a growth mindset and you want to prioritize the topic, you can be part of it and you can like grow together. And usually like the knowledge you would have gained might be a bit different from the knowledge someone else has gained. So it's a perfect, do you know the term Schwarmintelligenz? So
Yeah.
intelligence of the group. And it's amazing to see how they flourish, support each other. That's why we have the buddy system, because they want to keep accountable. They're like, please nudge me if I don't respond, or if I didn't do that task, put like touch my shoulder and say, remind me. So they use this buddy system. And what we realize is now it goes a bit beyond the topic of finance. So we open up our community in terms of topics because in half a year, I can download all my knowledge. I can share my expertise. We can create an actionable roadmap. But I'm also not an expert in all topics adjacent to finances, be it real estate, be it crypto, be it career management, be it negotiation, be it maybe health, longevity topics. So we have now these experts that are part of we call it inner circle. And we realize that yeah, that finds such good sentiment to go deeper into certain topics like bonds, equities, trading, maybe options, but then also looking a bit at other topics. Like next week, one of the experts is my dad. It's the first male expert.
Oh,
We also
great.
launched a podcast this week. I'm so excited. We have an episode with him. And he gives a market update for us because he created an amazing track record for the last 15 years. He manages the family's wealth as well, and he comes from the banking industry. So finally, he decided, okay, he hands on some of that knowledge to us. So in 2 weeks, we will have, or next week, a market update, and he shares across asset classes, yeah, how he sees the world across the markets, the regions, and always in the relevance. What does it mean for my portfolio? Because I feel often like the basic theory info, that's great and good, and I can actually watch that on YouTube. But what does it mean for me? How do I
Yeah.
interpret that? Yeah.
Yeah, the
So this is
connection, your situation is special to your situation and not, you can't work it out alone. I think it's really the knowledge you gain is during the time you invest in understanding the markets, the things, the people, and also your needs. Yes, it's a
yeah,
lot. It's a lot to keep
yeah.
in mind.
It's a lot, especially when you have lived in more than one country or you are investing in more than one country. So for me, because they always ask me, what is the USP, or why Cristina, why her financial freedom? And for me, I don't only want to convey the theoretical knowledge, what is an investment, what is your investor profile. Of course, this is part of it, but it's so much more.
Mm.
Okay, your situation. You have lived here and there, you have pension, maybe you have reduced work like yourself as well. What does it mean for me? How do I need to invest? And how do I now, if I make a decision, then they ask, okay, in which currency do I need to make it? With which asset allocation, which amount? I have a lot of liquidity, but I'm also considering buying real estate. Should I invest in all the liquidity? Should I buy the real estate in another country, in another currency? Do I even get a mortgage there? All these questions. And I think for me, when I look at trading, when I look at other asset classes like real estate, mortgages, the interest rates, FX, like foreign currency exchanges, maybe retiring in another country, taxes change massively if you consider different countries or investments in different countries. So I want my clients to understand all the bigger picture of the finance industry. Who can help me with what is a fair fee for something?
Mm.
Like, for example, I have a client, she loves sustainable investing. Of course, she pays higher fees, but it's what she believes in. So she aligns her investments with her values. And I want them to understand everything so they can make informed decisions about their own situation and feel comfortable with it. That's actually my goal.
That's fantastic. For those listening who are eager to start their own money date practices or use the tracker, what practical tips can you offer them to integrate these tools into their lives effectively?
Of course. You can, like, we always try to make it as easy as possible. So for example, we can send you the link for it. We have a methodology. It's the 4-step methodology. And we have a free workbook that you can use. And just on a weekend, maybe print it out, sit there and literally go through the 4 steps and print it so you can write it down. It's like from becoming aware of your money mindset to setting your goals, short, medium, and long term, right? Then understanding the asset classes, understanding your investor profile. Who can help me with which investment? Is it financial advisor or wealth manager or broker that I need? So if you work through these 4 steps, you already are so much more involved thinking about it. Maybe, like you said, starting to talk to someone, maybe your partner or a friend. And yeah, follow maybe some Instagram accounts, take part in a challenge, take part in a workshop that we do. Like, we really try to engage the community, give a lot, create the space for the wider community. And then you can see if that already helps to, solve so much from your path. If something is missing, I think it doesn't need to be always from 0% to 100%. Like there's something in between. And we want to accompany you basically on all the steps.
Oh, wonderful. So when it's the time to contact you personally, when are you ready to jump in and get deeper knowledge, to focus on the whole?
All my clients said 20 years ago, which
Ah.
is a bit hard now. Like they always say, I wish I would have met you 10 years ago or 20 years ago, depending how old you are, there are. The problem and the frustration I feel is that with the money topic, they don't often see a lot of urgency. When do we see the urgency? Divorce, death, meaning inheritance, right? Something is happening. Like you said, my money kind of ran out. So there is the urgency when it's almost too late, like shortly before retirement. Oh, I should have thought about that. So I'm always wondering, how can we create that urgency and say, make it a priority now? Everything is great. You're running your career, you're earning money. Now you can create wealth. Like my dad in the podcast, he said, your 30s are the perfect time to build a good basis for your wealth. That's where you set the ground buffer that you can work with later on, right? Obviously, for example, I started to invest for my niece. She was born in January. So once she had the passport, we opened a brokerage account under her name, amongst my brother's brokerage account, of course. And I transferred some money, and now we do regular investments for her. So the earlier you start, the better. But I'm making an example just for women to feel this urgency. I will make 2 examples. If you wait for 24 months, which is 2 years, and most of the women, they say, oh, I should have done this ages ago. If you wait 24 years to invest 500 Swiss francs per month, what do you think are the opportunity costs that you missed out on for the next 25 years? It's almost 45,000 just by 500 per month. And it's not money that we lose, right? We don't see it. What we see is maybe the inflation. This we see, we're losing our money to purchasing power loss. Yeah? But it's not creating this urgency, or it creates it when it's too late. And I sat down with a client and she said, hey, Cristina, is it really worth it in my age to still, change my investments? I have a financial advisor. I'm 62. I'm having a good life. I'm having a good wealth. And she said to me, hey, there will be a pillar 3, like a private pension pillar, will be free, 120,000 next year. I said, okay, you know what? Let's not look even at the existing wealth. Let's just look at that free wealth that will come out. And if we would change from your financial advisor into an exchange traded fund solution, just by that 120,000 that will be free, for the next 15 years, she would save 80,000 in fees. And she loves to travel to Japan. And she said, wow, this will be a lot of Japan travels, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely is worth, it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, how much money it is about. Every day you take that decision is the best day, and take it rather now than like wait another few months or years even.
Looking ahead, do you have plans to expand upon these tools, or are there any new features or methods you're excited about introducing that will further support women on their financial journeys?
Indeed. There are so many plans that we're learning from the feedback from our clients and our community. So we have like the paid membership, of course. We have a huge, massive, wide community with like thousands of women in it to give that free knowledge and that first steps that don't require too much yet. You kind of follow. And we're learning from that. So what we created this year is this inner circle where we create a paid community that doesn't only focus on the topics from the course, from the main program. We call it actually a mentoring program, but they go beyond topics. Yeah? Either they go in deeper dive into the topics of the mentoring program, or it can be adjacent topics like I said, real estate, crypto, career, health, pension planning, tax specialist, insurance specialist, all the kind of specialists that I cannot cover, right? I'm not an insurance specialist. So we try to open up a bit the variety of the topics, and they all become relevant. When I manage my wealth, I will have tax questions. When I manage my wealth, I will have insurance questions. When I manage my wealth, real estate topics come, or should I invest in gold? Should I invest in crypto? Should I invest in private equity? A lot of my clients, they want maybe to become angel investors because they're interested in diversifying a bit away from normal stocks and bonds. So yeah, we're always trying to learn and then adapt the product to grow that space, make it more added value for them.
Yeah. Lastly, if there's one core message about managing finances and fostering an empowered relationship with money that you'd like our audience to take away today, what would it be?
The most important message is start getting involved. Take ownership of that topic.
Yeah, that's it. As we wrap up this enlightening discussion with Cristina Jaeger, I want to express my sincere gratitude for her willingness to share her remarkable journey, insights, and empowering tools of her financial freedom. Cristina, your dedication to fostering financial confidence among women is both motivating and impactful, and I believe our listeners will deeply appreciate the knowledge you've imparted today. Thank you for this inspiring exchange.
Thank you so much, Cécile, and for opening up that space and time for this topic. It's amazing to see. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially for young women. You know, they have now the chance to start earlier than we did. So that's also my goal. To our
Cool.
listeners, we appreciate you tuning into this episode of Ganz in Bewegung. We hope you feel encouraged to take meaningful steps towards enhancing your financial well being and embrace a more empowered relationship with money. If you're eager to learn more about Christina's work or have any questions, don't hesitate to contact her with her directly. Visit her website at herfinancialfreedom.com and book a call for further guidance and support on your journey to financial empowerment, especially if your finance is really broad and wide and all over the place. And otherwise, if you just want to listen, you can go to Instagram at her.financialfreedom and get all the nuggets out there. And also on LinkedIn, you'll find Cristina under Cristina Jaeger. As we close this enriching dialogue, I want to remind you that your financial journey is not just about numbers. It's about understanding your values, embracing your emotions, and creating a life aligned with your aspirations. Don't forget to like and follow us on our YouTube channel, and where we continue to bring you insightful interviews and discussions centered on empowerment and well-being. For more information on our previous episodes and valuable resources, please visit our website at www.ganzinbewegung.com. Thank you once again for being an integral part of our community. Until we meet again, remember to approach your finances with confidence and clarity.